Let me thank all those who have been up here speaking. Let me thank Dr. Stephen Thrasher. Let me thank Alderwoman Sue Sadlowski Garza. Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor. Let me thank the Tommy's Reunion Band. Let me thank Marquise Chisholm. Let me thank Carl Rosen, President of the United Electrical Workers. Let me thank Stacey Davis Gates, Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union. Senator Robert Peters of the Illinois State Senate. And my old friend, Congressman Chuy Garcia. So brothers and sisters, we are here today for some important business. Today, we make it clear that together we are going to defeat the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. And today, we make it clear that the only way we beat Trump is with a campaign of energy, excitement, and grassroots activism. That is our campaign. All over this country, there are people now knocking on doors, making phone calls, working the grassroots. And if we're going to beat Trump, we need the largest voter turnout in the history of America, and that turnout looks like Grant Park today. Now, we're going to beat Trump. We are going to beat Trump because the American people do not want a pathological liar in the White House. They do not want somebody who is running a corrupt administration. They do not want somebody who has apparently never read the Constitution of the United States. They do not want somebody who is moving this country into an autocracy. And in November, Trump is going to learn that we are a democracy because we're going to throw him out of office. Now, this campaign for the Democratic nomination, as you all know, began with 18 candidates. We're down to 2. And let me tell you that the good news is that of all 18 candidates, we all understand that at the end of the day, we are going to get behind the winner. Because together we know that our differences are far, far less than our differences with this dangerous president. So I say to the American people, Democrats, Independents, a number of Republicans, let us stand together for dignity and decency in the White House. Let us beat Trump. But I think now that the election, the primary nomination process is coming down to 2 people, it is important for the American people, the people of Illinois, to understand the differences between us in terms of our record, in terms of our vision for the future. Joe Biden and I are friends. I have known him for many years, but we have different records. We have a different vision. The American people will hear about it. When George W. Bush and Dick Cheney told us we had to invade Iraq, which was the worst foreign policy blunder in the modern history of this country. Destabilized the region, cost us thousands of young brave men and women from our own country, cost trillions of dollars. One of us voted for that war. That was Joe Biden. One of us led the opposition to that war. That was Bernie Sanders. 12 years ago, when the crooks on Wall Street nearly destroyed our economy, they came to Wall Street and said, "Oh, please, bail us out." One of us voted for that outrageous bailout. That was Joe Biden. One of us led the opposition to that bailout. That was Bernie Sanders. Back in the 1990s, when you had corporate America coming before Congress and they're saying, we need trade agreements. We need a NAFTA. We need a permanent normal trade relations with China. One of us, Joe Biden, voted for those agreements, which cost us almost 5 million decent paying jobs. One of us worked with the unions in this country and understood that it was unfair to ask American workers to compete against people in China, Russia, in Vietnam, in Mexico, or the low-wage countries who are earning starvation wages. As a result of those trade agreements, we lost almost 5 million good-paying jobs. We engaged in a race to the bottom where wages actually went down. There are manufacturing workers today in America making $9, $10, $11 an hour. Those trade agreements were a disaster. Joe was wrong. I was right. Number of years ago, there was a big discussion in the Senate, in the House, about Social Security. Joe Biden was on the floor of the Senate talking about the need to cut Social Security and Medicare and veterans programs in order to balance the budget. My view was and is that when you got millions of seniors trying to get by on $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year Social Security, and I don't know how anybody survives on that kind of income, you don't cut Social Security, you expand Social Security. Joe Biden in the past has voted for what is called the Hyde Amendment. That said that women could not use Medicaid dollars in order to protect their reproductive rights and get an abortion. I am proud to tell you that I have 100% pro-choice voting record throughout my entire life. I believe then and I believe now that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government. And let me be very clear in telling you, I will never nominate anybody to the Supreme Court or the federal court who is not 100% pro-Roe v. Wade. Trump and his friends want to cut funding for Planned Parenthood. We're going to expand funding for Planned Parenthood. And you can tell a lot about our different campaigns about how we raise the funds we need. Joe Biden has received funding from at least 60 billionaires. Joe Biden has a super PAC. And there's another super PAC out there running millions and millions of dollars in negative ads against us all over this country. So let me be very clear. I don't have a super PAC. We don't want a super PAC. We don't need a super PAC. I don't go to billionaires' homes for campaign contributions. We're going to win this election because we have received more campaign contributions from more Americans than any campaign in the history of this country. And those contributions average $18.50 apiece. As the son of an American working class family, I am proud to tell you, this campaign is for the working class of this country. It is standing with the working class of this country. And it is funded by the working class of this country. And this is a working class in America, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. This is a working class sick and tired of seeing wage stagnation and almost all new wealth and income going to the top 1%. This is a working class in America which demands an economy and a government that work for all of us, not just the 1%. We are tired of tax breaks for billionaires when 500,000 people in America are homeless. We are tired of half of the American people living paycheck to paycheck when 3 people on the top own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. We're going to win this election because we have the agenda that speaks to the needs of a long neglected working class. People in America should not work for starvation wages. We're going to raise that minimum wage $15 an hour. Women should not make 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. Equal pay for equal work. And when millions of workers want to join unions, want to get decent wages and decent benefits through a union, we are going to make it easier for workers to join unions, not harder. We're going to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, including making sure that every American has clean water coming out of their tank. We can create millions of good-paying union jobs. Unlike the current president, we have the radical idea that maybe we should have the best educated population in the world. We believe in universal, high-quality, affordable child care. We believe in the need to triple funding for low-income Title I schools, because every kid in America deserves a quality education regardless of his or her zip code. And because we believe in education, we believe in teachers. We want the best and the brightest to understand that there is no job more important than educating our kids. And the truth is, we need more African American teachers. We need more Latino teachers. We need more special education teachers. That is why we're going to fight to make sure that no teacher in America earns less than $60,000 a year. Education. We think America should do what countries all over the world do, make public colleges and universities tuition-free. After bailing out the crooks on Wall Street and giving tax breaks to billionaires, we can afford to cancel all student debt in America. And I'll tell you something. something else, something that has been in my heart and in my gut for my entire adult life, and that is, I believe that health care is a human right, not a privilege. It is totally absurd, that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a right. Well, together we are going to end that embarrassment. We're going to end the absurdity of spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country, and yet 87 million of us are either uninsured or underinsured. Over 30,000 Americans die each year because they don't get to a doctor on time. 500,000 people go bankrupt because of medically related debt. What kind of system is it that says to somebody struggling with cancer, sorry, you're fighting for your life, but by the way, you're going to go bankrupt because you can't afford the outrageous bills? Last year, the drug companies made outrageous profits. Their CEOs receive huge compensation benefits. And in some cases, we pay 10 times more for the same exact drugs sold in Canada and other countries. Today, we tell the drug companies, we're going to stop you ripping off the American people. And today, we say to the insurance industry, whether you like it or not, we are going to pass a Medicare for all single-payer program. Donald Trump embarrasses us every day. But there are issues in which he not only harms this country, but he harms the entire world. When we have a president, a self-described genius, I should say, a man who single-handedly, no doubt, will solve the coronavirus crisis, we have somebody in the White House who actually believes that climate change is a hoax. Well, we disagree. We think that Donald Trump is a hoax. So let me tell you what should not be a difficult or surprising proposition. Our administration will listen to scientists, not right-wing extremists. We will tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of our planet. We are going to pass sweeping legislation based on the principles of the Green New Deal. And that says that we are going to create up to 20 million good-paying union jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. Bernie, 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 Bernie. And because you and I know that this world is becoming smaller and smaller, whether it is climate change, the coronavirus, or many other issues, what we are going to do in the White House is tell the world, tell China and Russia, India, Pakistan, Brazil, countries all over the world, that instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year on weapons of destruction designed to kill each other, maybe we should pool our resources, fight our common enemy, which is climate change. having more people in jail than any other country on earth. We have more people in jail, over 2 million, than China has, 4 times our size. And the people in jail are disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. The time is long overdue for major reforms to a broken and racist criminal justice system. And what we are going to do together is invest in our young people, in good jobs and good education, not more jails and incarceration. It costs less money to send a kid to the University of Illinois than to lock him up. Let's send them to the university. Today in America, 400,000 people are in jail right now who have not been convicted of anything. In jail because they cannot afford cash bail, the $500 they need to get out of jail. Together we're going to end cash bail in America. Together we're going to end private prisons and detention centers. Corporations should not be making millions locking up fellow Americans. And together we are going to end the incredibly destructive war on drugs. Now, it turns out that there are some things that a president can do with executive order, other things you need legislation. Just so happens that with an executive order, a president can make marijuana legal in every state in this country. And I invite you to the ceremony when we do just that. Matter of fact, maybe we'll do it right here in Grant Park. Let me ask you all a question. How many folks here know somebody who was arrested for possession of marijuana? We're going to move to expunge the records of those arrested for marijuana. And when we talk about broken and racist systems, we're going to overhaul our immigration system. I am the proud son of an immigrant who came from Poland. I have the feeling I'm not the only person here who has family that came from Poland. My father came to this country, like many of your parents, without a nickel in his pocket, couldn't speak a word of English, had limited education. I will not accept the demonization of the immigrant community. This is a country built by immigrants. This is a country built by slaves. And we have got to appreciate who built this country, who made it great. It was not the folks on Wall Street. It was working people, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. Those are the people who made this country great. On day one, we're going to restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. We're going to end a border policy which allows federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers. We're going to end ICE raids, which are terrorizing communities. We are going to do what should have been done decades ago. Pass bipartisan, comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. Right now, every American, no matter what his or her political views may be, are disgusted and horrified by the level of gun violence in this country. Yes. The American people desperately want common sense gun safety legislation. My promise to you is our administration will bring forth the most sweeping gun safety legislation in the history of this country. Trump and the Republican leadership are scared to death of the NRA. That's just the fact. Our administration will not be intimidated by the NRA. We are going to take on the NRA. We're going to pass sweeping universal background check. People who have a violent past, including domestic violence, should not own guns. Show loophole. And we're going to do what the American people want, is to end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Our campaign's message, as all of you know, is us, not me. And what that means is two basic principles. Number one, it is an understanding that we are all more humane. We are stronger and better human beings when we care for each other. Every family in America, trust me, has its share of problems. And what we have got to do is to understand that as human beings in a difficult, complicated world, we must be in it together. Has got to care about your family has got to care about my family. And in the richest country in the history of the world, when we care about each other, we can go a long way to addressing many of the problems we have. Us, not me. Us, not me, means something even above and beyond that. What it means is taking a hard look at something that the corporate media cannot do, that Congress cannot do. And that is to look at the power structure of America. That's something we are prepared to do. We ask the question of how come today you got 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half. How come over the last 45 years, where every worker here is more productive because of technology than used to be the case, how come the average American worker today, in real inflation accounted for dollars, is not earning a nickel more than he or she did 45 years ago? How come over the last 30 years, the top 1% has seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth, while wealth for the bottom half has actually declined? What this campaign is about is, of course, beating Trump, but we have got to do more than that. We have got to tell the corporate elite in this country they cannot have it all. And that means we're going to take on the greed and corruption of Wall Street. In fact, we're going to break up the major banks in this country, which have so many problems. We're going to take on the greed and corruption corruption of the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah!
We're going to take on the insurance industry.
Woo!
We're going to take on the fossil fuel industry.
Woo!
We're going to take on the military-industrial complex.
Woo!
The American people are sick and tired of spending trillions for never-ending wars.
Yeah!
And we're going to take on the prison industrial complex.
Woo!
In fact, we're prepared to take on the whole damn 1%.
Yeah!
And to tell the wealthiest people in this country that they are going to start paying their fair share of taxes.
Woo!
Every person here, and especially in a city so rich with American history, everybody here knows that real change never takes place from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. I want you to think about workers here in Chicago 100 plus years ago who stood up to their employers and said, you know what? We're not animals, we are human beings. Whether you like it or not, we're going to form unions. I want you to think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement. Dr. King, who came here to Chicago to fight for decent housing, to fight for civil rights. And the African American community and their white allies said, sorry, racism is no longer acceptable. We're going to end racism in America. And I want you to think about the women's movement. 100 years ago or so, women in America did not even have the right to vote. They couldn't do the jobs they wanted and dreamed of doing. They couldn't get the education they wanted. But they stood together, and some of them died. Some of them went on hunger strikes. Some of them threw themselves in front of vehicles to make the point that they would not allow the establishment to define who a woman was. They would do it themselves. And I want you to think about the gay rights movement. And think about the incredible courage of the gay movement and their straight allies who said, you know what, in America, people have the right to love whoever they want, regardless. And I want you to think about the environmental movement, not only in our country, young people like the Sunrise Movement. People all over the world, young people who are saying to the rulers of the world, sorry, we want to live in a planet that is healthy and habitable. Have the guts to do something. That is what a political movement is about, and that's what this campaign is about. It is a political campaign, but above and beyond that, it is a movement of millions of people fighting for justice, fighting for economic justice, for social justice, for racial justice, for environmental justice. Who we are. And that is why we're not only going to win the nomination, not only win here in Illinois, we're going to defeat Trump and defeat him badly. All of you know that there is a primary coming a week from Tuesday here in Illinois. And what the political revolution is about is rethinking how we look at politics. I know many of you have friends who have given up on the political process. They think politics is bullshit. They think you're a jerk for being here today. I know that. But you got to tell them that you're sick and tired of hearing them moan and groan about student debt, about low wages, about paying half their income for housing. Tired of hearing them talking about racism and sexism and homophobia. Tired of them talking about the jerk in the White House. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. And we got to tell those people, stop complaining, get involved in the political process. I deal with the ruling class of this country all of the time. And let me tell you, the 1% are incredibly powerful. They have more money than you can imagine. They have an endless amount of money. They can spend as much as they want because their pockets are endless. They own the media. They have enormous impact over our economy. They buy and sell politicians through their campaign contributions. But I will tell you something else. At the end of the day, the 1% with all of their money, with all of their power, is 1%. And if the 99% stand together, don't let Trump divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation or our religion. If we stand together around an agenda that works for all of us, not just the people on top, we can transform this country, create a decent life for every man, woman, and child. So brothers and sisters, let's win here in Illinois. Let us win the Democratic nomination. And let us have the extraordinary satisfaction of defeating the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country. Chicago, thank you very much.